Welcome to the Game Preview Podcast presented by WynnBET. Betting is a team sport. Bet together at WynnBET. Ethan Greenberg, Cynthia Frelund, and a very special guest here with us joining us on the podcast. Little spooky skeleton head? Spooky head? I don't know. But anyway.
It's red. What's it covered in?
I don't know. It kind of looks like it would be dipped in kind of like a caramel apple. But it's
okay.
not. I think.
Well, from my point of view, it kind of looks like like rubies, like ruby red skull. So very fancy over there. Very fancy, spooky situation.
Thank you. This is the bougie spooky situation over here.
Not like bougie tacos. Got it.
Right. We will talk about your tacos at halftime. Sounds like a good halftime meal. But as always, you gotta kick us off here, and I assume you're just gonna go tails for the kickoff.
Never fails.
Yep. Yeah. I'm still waiting for the day that you wake up on the wrong side of the bed and you're like, you know
heads.
what? I'm going to go heads.
I almost picked the heads to go with that spooky ruby skull, but nope, still tails.
Well, unfortunately, Cynthia, it is heads. So that means that I get to choose first. And here's what we're going to do. We're going to start out the gate talking about the Jets offense, particularly the Jets passing offense. Twofold. One, because there's a new quarterback under center. And at the time we're recording this, it's TBD, according to Saleh, if it's Mike White or Joe Flacco, meaning he has not spoken to the media yet. So let's talk about the supporting cast. And two, let's really start with this. This Bengals passing defense and really the defense overall, Cynthia, feels like it needs a little more love than maybe it's getting.
Yeah. Interestingly enough, so every week at the NFL Network, we pick the top 5 underrated players or player units of the week. And it's kind of like giving a little shine to some people who you may not talk about nationally as much. And this week we picked the entire Bengals defensive front because they had a ridiculous 47% pressure rate on Lamar Jackson last week. They had 3 different guys who had at least 7 pressures. It was an embarrassment of actual pressure. It was crazy how well they have been doing. And then on the back end, obviously they've got a guy who, there's a Trayvon Diggs. Okay. But then they've got a guy in their secondary who's second in interceptions. So this is a much tougher defense than I think we at least I anticipated ahead of the season. And,
the Bengals, according to your notes, the only team to allow 25 or fewer points every game this season. Now this Jets receiving core, full strength. Corey Davis, Elijah Moore got his first touchdown against the Patriots, although it was a rushing touchdown. So
whatever.
What do you?
End zone is end zone.
Right. The end zone is the end zone. And Elijah Moore finally got his first tutty. So what do you make? If you're the Jets, how do you attack this Bengals defense knowing that they're playing at a high level right now?
Do we count running backs catching passes as the passing game?
Yes, because that is a technicality.
Whatever. I mean, it's a pass catch, isn't it? I mean, I feel like that's good because if you look to see last week, that was an area of success with the running back. So when I look to see something, just do what works, right? Especially when you have quarterback questions. And I kind of hope it's Mike White. Give the guy a chance. Let's see what happens. And I like Joe Flacco. It's not anything against him. It's just, I think it's fun to kind of see, all right, who do you have here? What's the depth of the team? So I think those short passes to running backs, that was a source of success last week. That's something to carry into this one.
All right. And also, I just want to point this out there. You talking about the pass, that little pop pass where the receiver comes across and that's really a pass. Fantasy owners either love that or hate that, obviously, depending on their
format
there. Right.
Yeah. Oh, well, let's put some numbers to it, right? They were 14 of 16. They had 132 yards on passes of under 10 air yards. So screens, things like that these are high probability passes, but 14 of 16, that's an area of success. Keep doing that. And of course, use Corey Davis. That's the other one.
Oh, right. Of course. And what do you expect from this Bengals passing defense? And really, we can include the defensive line getting after the quarterback with the addition of Trey Hendrickson and Sam Hubbard already there. What do you expect them to do to either, one, try to confuse Mike White if he plays and he starts his first game, or two, go against Joe Flacco, who's a veteran, but also hasn't played with this team and was acquired earlier this week?
Well, he does have some familiarity from last season, so at least there's that. However, look, when you watch the Bengals defense, they get a lot of pressure using a lot of different looks. Like, it sounds really cliche to be like, they line people up in different spots and rush from a bunch of different areas. They also keep people in their spots and rush from different areas and get good pressure on the quarterback. So I think what they'll try to do is probably, go away from Elijah Vera Tucker, go away from Connor McGovern, and just try to get the edges, like go where they can find success, like try to find some spots where it's going to work for them, AKA, away from our guy, Elijah Vera Tucker.
That's your guy. I feel like if John Franklin Myers is your guy on defense, Elijah Vera Tucker is your guy on offense. Is that
just let me have two. Don't make me pick between the two of them, because it's gonna be hard for me. I mean, I would be Jonathan Franklin Myers, but whatever. But not by much.
And what is it about the hyphenated name? Because is that a coincidence here? Elijah Vera Tucker hyphenated, John Franklin Myers hyphenated. It's got to be a coincidence, right?
I mean, I don't know. Maybe the good players need extra names. Like we go with my full name too. It was Cynthia Rose Frelund. There we go. We're good.
All right, there you go. Ethan Benjamin Greenberg. Hyphenate that thing.
Perfect.
All right, so let's move to our second quarter here. Let's talk about this Jets rushing offense, because last week they predominantly were effective, talking about Michael Carter and Ty Johnson through the air, to your point. But for the Jets to have a shot in this game, do you anticipate them to try to establish the run like they try to do every week?
Every team every week needs to try to establish the run. Last week, the rushing stats, like pure rushing stats, were totally impacted by game scripts, right? Like, once the score becomes a little bit lopsided, it's hard to stay true to the run. However, it is still a prudent and good idea. They're going to have to establish the run in any game that they want to win. It's just a higher probability. Looking over years and years and years and years and years of football history, you have to get both the run and the pass going. That's your highest probability for success, especially with questions at the quarterback position. So this is something that they know how to do, though, right? This coaching staff has a lot of experience doing that. So I'm going to go back to it again. I still think, and I like Michael Carter in this situation, I think his ability to kind of pick up yards after contact, that's going to be useful again in this one.
All right, well, can you tell me a little bit about this Bengals rushing defense? You look at the numbers, 7th in the league in rushing yards allowed per game. Lamar Jackson, one of a kind. He had 88 yards for the Ravens last week, but the running backs on the Ravens, Devontae Freeman, 4 attempts, 14 yards. Le'Veon Bell, 5 attempts, 5 yards. It doesn't seem like there's a lot of wiggle room. Is that more of a Ravens thing from last week, or is that a trend that we've seen for opponents facing the Bengals?
Well, it's kind of a Ravens thing, because the Ravens abandoned the run. They too had a game script issue as well. Lamar Jackson, so to put this in context, Lamar Jackson was sacked 5 times. When Lamar Jackson gets sacked a lot, obviously we know his main thing that makes him such a problem for opposing defenses is the fact that he's always going to be a threat to run or to pass on every single down. So the fact that they abandoned the running back run game, that's happened in several games for the Ravens this season when they get down a little bit. So it's been really on Lamar to rush literally outside the right tackle, or outside mostly the right tackle, but sometimes the left too. But outside the tackles, rushing is where he does his damage. So I think they had to kind of abandon it. So I will say the Bengals run defense does have a little bit more susceptibility. I think their pass defense is a little scary. They're able to get pressure a little bit more on passing downs more regularly than they are. But again, 5 sacks happens when you have game script that you're throwing the ball a lot, trying to catch up. Remember, Ravens were down in a pretty significant hole as well. So it's game script for them as well. I think, long story short, this is a really long-winded way of just saying, I think that the ability to stay true to the run game will be a key to keeping this game competitive.
All right, and also I just want to hit on, we've talked about Trey Hendrickson. I've mentioned Sam Hubbard. How about Larry Ogunjobi?
Yes, you got to say it. It's a really fun name to say. Ogunjobi. It's fun, yeah.
I feel like I need, first of all, it's great. Is it better than Folorunso Fatukasi?
No.
I don't think so.
No.
You got the double F, the Folorunso.
No.
Larry
that one's
is
better.
what does Ogunjobi in, right? It's the first name why Foley has the advantage in the name game here.
100%. No, listen, Ogunjobi, it's just fun to say the last name. It's like Gutekunst, right? That one's fun to say too, the GM of the Packers. It's just, but his first name's Brian, whatever. So Foley's got them all by a mile.
WynnBET is now live in New Jersey, and they're bringing the excitement of Wynn Las Vegas to online sports betting. Get in on all your favorite teams, players, and sports, from boosted parlays to live in-game odds on every major sport. They have what you need to win. Sign up today to receive a special offer, risk-free $1,000 sports bet. Download the WynnBET app now or visit wynnbet.com to start winning. WynnBET, an official sportsbook and gaming partner of the New York Jets. Offer subject to change. Terms and conditions at wynnbet.com. Must be 21 or older and present in New Jersey. If you or someone you know has a gambling problem, call 1-800-270-7117.
All right, well, let's talk about Larry Ogunjobi, because it feels like among the defensive line, which you could make the argument needs a little more credit, feels like if we were to single out a player, he could deserve a little more credit as well.
Absolutely. The hard part is when you bring Trey Hendricks over, remember Trey Hendrickson came over in free agency from the Saints. Big name, big acquisition. They got rid of, Carl Lawson's gone, whatever. So obviously. So the interesting part there is kind of like the Aaron Donald effect happens, right? You bring over Trey Hendrickson and some of these other guys get these more sacks or more, you can see them pop off the film when you watch it. So I like Larry Ogunjobi. I think that it's really what we need to do is maybe we need to complement the defensive coordinator and the staff of, getting the right sets of people and in the right configurations so we can see a lot of different guys. Sam Hubbard, who would have thought this past offseason that Sam Hubbard would be jumping off the paper too?
And also Logan Wilson, the Bengals linebacker, leading tackler, leading interceptions for the team as well. Just keep an eye on Logan Wilson as well. But that brings us to halftime, and we got two things. One, we talked about it earlier, the Bougie Skull making a halftime appearance. You made a reference to Bougie Tacos, which is your Thursday night meal.
It is. I mean, it's in Arizona, and every time I've been to Arizona, it's been like Scottsdale, where like they do like over the top restaurants. Like if you've ever been to Scottsdale, it's like kind of like Vegas, but like a little more southwesterny than Vegas is. So I was like, I'm going to do bougie tacos. So we're going to make some bougie tacos on Thursday. And it's going to be, I'm frying in avocado with panko. It's going to be exciting. I'm very excited.
All right. Great. And we will get the full review next week on the Game Preview podcast. But more importantly, Halloween this weekend, twofold. Are you team Halloween or team Halloween?
Ooh, Halloween. I'm from Michigan. Michigan people, we pronounce everything wrong. Some people where I'm from say milk, like with an E. That's unacceptable. But
I think you said Halloween correctly for what it's
Halloween.
worth.
Yeah.
Yeah. And more importantly, this is a real friendship test. Reese's Pieces or Reese's Pieces?
Reese's Pieces.
Thank you. All right. Virtual high five. Thank you.
You got it.
Yeah, I don't understand the Reese's Pieces. I just don't get it. People are like, well, it's Reese's Pieces. What is a Pisces? Sounds like a Pisces, and we're not talking about
astrological signs. No,
astrological signs. No, we're talking about candy. All right. What is your favorite candy, Cynthia? Ooh. Like if you were going trick or treating, you would hope to come back with the most what?
Listen, I mean, nobody has these anymore. They're like really hard to find. Chewy Sprees. What happened to them? Nobody, there's no love for Chewy Sprees anymore. You can't find them almost anywhere. I love them. I'm also I like a good look. I like the Reese's peanut butter cups as well. I do like my chocolate fix, but come on, Chewy people. I feel like there's been some Chewy Spree conspiracy. I can't find them anywhere.
Well, what if I told you I don't know what that is?
This is why the youth of America is. This is every problem here. You need to know what a Chewy Spree is.
We're going Gen Z. You're going Gen Z on me.
Are you even a Gen Z?
No, I'm not.
I'm a millennial. I'm an old millennial.
Chewy. I'm a millennial.
I'm going to send you some. I'm going to find some. I'm sure somewhere on the internet I can find some. Somebody send this man some Chewy Sprees.
They look like Razzles.
But they're not Razzles. No. They're awesome. What's your favorite? You have to tell me your favorite candy now.
Oh, my favorite. I feel like I'm hard pressed Reese's peanut butter cups. But I also like dark horse staple M&Ms, right? Like
and M&Ms are always in. I think they're the original protein bar.
I like that logic because protein bars probably are a little better for you than your standard M&Ms.
I don't know. Some protein bars are full of a bunch of awful stuff, so I think they're the original protein bar. Okay, I have to ask you: do you like those little candy corns or the little candy corn pumpkins? Either one. Do you like them? What's your stance? It's a very controversial take.
that's a no for me, dog. I do not like the candy corns. I mean, like, I'll eat it, but I'll try it just to like say like I'm festive. I won't seek them out.
I like the looks of them. When we were doing like art projects as a kid, you like glue them on a like paper, like give it to your mom as a present.
I like that.
Fantastic. But as a food, I also don't like unwrapped candy. I just think that's disgusting. Like, wrap the candy up. What are you thinking?
Yep. So one final Halloween story before I ask you whatever your best costume was growing up or whatever. In the city, in New York City, where I grew up, people would sometimes just leave like pumpkins filled with candy outside of their door, like outside their apartment door, so they don't have to deal with the opening and closing. And let me just say, there were some savages that just dumped like the whole thing in their own pumpkin because, you know, that
gotta earn your
nice
candy
thing to do. Yeah, it wasn't cool. So like sometimes I'd be walking around and I'd be candyless, but that'd be okay too.
That's really sad. That just like very sad.
I did well. Don't get me wrong. I did well for myself, but and I used to count how many pieces of candy I got. Anyway, your best costume was what?
Axl Rose.
Wow. Okay, that was just like that. You knew.
What was yours? I mean, it was ridiculous, but I've got the stringy hair for it, so it worked out.
That's great.
What was yours?
Ricky Bobby.
Nice.
I had the Talladega.
If you're not first, you're last.
I had the suit, the Wonder Bread suit. It was great. I needed I don't even remember. I needed whoever John C. Reilly played in the movie. I didn't have that, and I needed it. And that's a better suit for the record.
In college, we did I don't know if you remember this show. You might be too young for this, but in college, it was not currently on the air when I was in college. I'm not that old, but we went as Double Dare. Do you know what that is? So you have like the color. It was on Nickelodeon. It was
too.
Oh my goodness, gotta Google this later. People will know listening. Double Dare was on Nickelodeon. It was like a show where you had like physical challenges, where it was like trivia and physical challenges. So we had like helmets on and like, you know, you're the blue team and a red team, and we had teams and flags there. It was very fun. It was very good college. Got good college team outfit.
And you bring a group of guys together from all different teams, works of life, different situations.
Let's put all the pieces together. Hey, dominate today. Dominate on 3. 1, 2, 3. Dominate!
First thing you try to do is establish something that can connect everybody. You know, you can see the brotherhood forming. You can see the love for one another forming.
Sacked at the 8-yard line.
Wholeheartedly, and that goes a long way into shaping the way we play on the field.
Just on 3. 1, 2, 3. Yes.
All right. I dig it. All right. That was halftime. That was a good halftime session. We got some candy. We got some tacos. We're moving on. We're refueled. And let's start with the Bengals rushing offense. And obviously we'll wrap up with Joe-Burrow and Ja'Marr-Chase. So this Jets rushing offense against no, that is incorrect. The Jets rushing defense against the Bengals rushing offense. Just your thoughts on the matchup.
Well, look, the Bengals O-line, I understand that it looks a lot better when you have Ja'Marr-Chase catching deep passes. We'll talk about that in a second. But this still isn't like an awesome O-line. It's a good O-line, not really. It's like a bottom 10, which is significantly better than what we thought when they didn't draft Penei Sewell. So I get it. Like it's all about perception. So we thought it was going to be terrible. It ended up being just enough to kind of keep them going. And then what you've really seen is you've seen Joe-Burrow be awesome against the blitz. So the run game gets them just enough with Joe Mixon, typically gets them just enough to get Joe-Burrow in situations where he can defeat the blitz. So that's kind of how I see it mapping out. Now, Joe Mixon is doing very well. He's very good at picking up blitzes, at figuring out ways that he can be used, not just in the run game, but also in the pass stopping game. So his presence on the field is creating that nice like energy where he gets to be deceptive and keep defenses off balance. So it's working together well enough. I don't think this is an O-line that is going to hold up against once they kind of figure out the puzzle pieces that they're working with this year, other teams that is, then it's going to look a little bit worse, but they are doing just enough right now to keep it all in balance.
And this Jets defensive line, you would imagine, itching to return to the field after a performance last week by Damian Harris, the Patriots running back, 14 carries, 106 yards, and 2 touchdowns.
All right. So we have to put an asterisk there because there's a little bit when you have a quarterback who's a quick thrower, quick pass thrower. You got to kind of defend it in a different way, right? So especially with a young secondary that hasn't seen all the Bill Belichick looks on the planet. I understand it's Josh McDaniels that's coordinating the offense, but all of these different like things that they're going to throw out there at you, like I give a little credit. Like, yes, I understand they're letting them run more than we're used to. Watch it when you watch the Jets, you think nobody can run for even 1 yard, and it was a little bit more than we're used to. But it's still not. I'm still not punting on them being really good at stopping the run.
So then what do you make of this Jets defensive line against the run in general? You think that last week and, the couple weeks like Christian McCaffrey and Derrick Henry, you think they're actually better than maybe what the stats show?
Christian McCaffrey and Derrick Henry are two of the very best running backs like ever. Like, period, full stop. Like, Derrick Henry, just take all his stats over there. Like, I don't have like a better response than that, right? Like, you have to characterize, like, what is an actual, like, who are these elite guys and what are they, like, the Lions are bad at stopping. I'm a Lions fan, I can tell you, but like the Lions fan are bad at stopping the run. Lions defensive front is bad at stopping the run because they cannot wrap up and stop and stop a guy once he's got at least like 2 yards. And Derrick Henry, no one can stop him. That's a little different. So take him out of those equations, right? Like, this is a situation where I think this defense is a little underrated. A lot of game script has dictated, like, all of those yards didn't happen in a competitive part of the game. So look at first down. Let's just look at early downs, first and second down. And then just look when the game is within 13 points, right? Way better at stopping the run in those situations than when things happen. It's the big plays that are killing the Jets, not the first down runs.
WynnBET is now live in New Jersey, and they're bringing the excitement of Wynn Las Vegas to online sports betting. Get in on all your favorite teams, players, and sports, from boosted parlays to live in-game odds on every major sport. They have what you need to win. Sign up today to receive a special offer, risk-free $500 sports bet. Download the WynnBET app now or visit wynnbet.com to start winning. WynnBET, an official sportsbook and gaming partner of the New York Jets. Offer subject to change. Terms and conditions at wynnbet.com. Must be 21 or older and present in New Jersey. If you or someone you know has a gambling problem, call 1-800-270-7117.
All right. That was our third quarter. Now it's time for the fourth quarter, and this quarter is presented by Home Field IT. We're talking this Jets passing defense against the Bengals passing offense, Joe-Burrow and Ja'Marr-Chase. I mean, let's just start there, okay? I mean, what is going on in the water down in Baton Rouge, and why has it translated so quickly for the two of them on the NFL level?
Well, look, familiarity is a big deal. Also, Ja'Marr-Chase hasn't gotten his full, like, last week against Marlon Humphrey, he did get the full like NFL like corner treatment, right? But in those first few games when he's just crushing every one of these deep passes, and by the way, he's doing an awesome job. He was completely open. Marlon Humphrey was that was different. Marlon Humphrey's a very good corner, so take that Ravens situation out of the equation. They've figured it out with the two of them this season. Remember, there's always going to be the defense as they catch up, but it takes defenses a little bit of time to catch up. Plus, then you need the personnel that can stop this guy. He's very fast. Like, this is not like it's not a joke why they drafted him though high. But the familiarity gives them an advantage. And obviously, Ja'Marr-Chase didn't play last season. So remember preseason, he had those drops and everyone's like, oh, he can't see the football, whatever it is. It just needed a minute to be able to, like, he dropped a smoke route in the preseason. Like that's not you can't look at that one, right? You got to look and see like where are these things coming. So what they're doing is very special. And what they're doing is really, one, Joe Burrow is beating the blitz. And Joe Burrow is a talent. Joe Burrow is the real deal. And then Ja'Marr-Chase is also the real deal, but we'll see what happens once it's gonna regress a little bit. I like him. There's nothing mean to Ja'Marr-Chase. It's fun to watch him, but like it's gonna come down. There's a reason why that like no rookies have this many deep receptions because people figure them out, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm excited to see both Ja'Marr-Chase and Joe Burrow, see what they look like Sunday, watching a game in person. Do you think it helps or hurts the Jets that they predominantly play zone defense against Ja'Marr-Chase?
Okay, so look, we can go through. There's some man and there's some zone information. The problem is, so you always need context for all of it. I actually don't think it's a bad thing. I think the hardest thing, the Jets need to get pressure. That's it, and they need to do it without blitzing because Joe Burrow's been like 1, 2. I'm looking at like all his rankings against. You could Next Gen Stats has a really interesting stat, right? Third best completion percentage against the blitz that's Burrow, obviously. And it's 68.9% for 601 yards and 6 touchdowns. That's high. And the Jets have been blitzing at the 11th highest rate. So when you look to see, like, maybe don't blitz so much, drop some guys into coverage, then I don't care if you play man or you play zone, you got an advantage with numbers there, right? So it's hard to see the context with man and zone when you look at a guy like Joe Burrow is like, if he's doing well against the blitz, well, is that because on the back end, like how much space and separation do his receivers have? Because if you're rushing more people, then there's going to be fewer numbers in the back, right? So they all kind of work together. So my note here would be maybe don't blitz so much. Maybe drop some guys into coverage. You could play a zone and then, obviously maybe keep Ja'Marr-Chase like special, maybe put 2 people on him, but like something like that, right? So that would be your coach, Coach Sala knows way better more than we do, but it's not as easy as just saying don't play man or don't play zone. It's a lot more context than that.
Absolutely. I thought it was interesting that according to PFF and your notes, that Ja'Marr-Chase has 400 receiving yards against man coverage, which is 113 more yards than any other player. So that's just something to keep in mind. And basically what Cynthia is saying is don't blitz, just make sure the defensive line tries to get home as much as possible. And the Jets' strength is the Jets' defensive line. And you're saying that the Bengals' offensive line maybe overachieving early on, maybe Joe Burrow is masking some of the issues there in Cincinnati. So it's going to be a good matchup. What I wanted to ask you was this Bengals receiving core outside of Ja'Marr-Chase, because T. Higgins and Tyler Boyd are also 2 very good players for this Bengals offense, even if a team were able to slow down Ja'Marr-Chase.
I actually think your second biggest problem is their tight end, CJ Uzomah. He's right up there. Yeah, that's another fun one to say, but CJ ruins it. Uzomah. But look, he's their second biggest problem because it doesn't seem like the chemistry or the route running. When you go back and chart, and it's really boring to do, but I do it anyways. You go back and chart, like where's Tyler Boyd and where's T. Higgins when they're not targeted, or what happens in the check down situation? Because it kind of seems like what you're seeing is this CJ Uzomah, or you're obviously Ja'Marr-Chase is number 1, and then CJ Uzomah is number 2. So I don't know if the other 2 guys, I don't know, they're not super open. They're not creating separation. They're not getting themselves in spots where Joe Burrow is looking to throw. So I don't think it's all designed for Ja'Marr-Chase. I think obviously on every play, there's several options for the quarterback to really target most of the time, right? Most of the time it's not a quick, route someone, but I don't know. I think get rid of that tight end situation, figure out you handle those 2 and be okay if Tyler Boyd beats you, because he hasn't seemed to be able to get open and have the same chemistry.
All right. Well, basically, you got to pick your poison because there is talent on the Cincinnati Bengals offense, and it all starts with Joe Burrow.
Right now, the Bengals are not. If the playoffs started right now, the Bengals would be the number 1 seed.
That's not what we've heard in recent history, and it's very cool to see the tides kind of shifting.
You know what that means? That means that next year we got a good quarterback here. Come on. It just means things can change quickly. There's lots of hope.
All right. That's a great way to wrap up the 4th quarter, presented by Home Field IT. And Cynthia, a little overtime session. The floor is yours. Say what you want to say. Any last thoughts on this matchup?
So the thing that I think is very important, if you're a Jets fan right now, just like when I watch the Jets game, I'm sitting there and I'm looking for a little bit of growth each time. This is a very young team. It's a very new coaching staff. So when I'm like, the expectations weren't Super Bowl this year. It's a lot more tricky to be Kansas City. Like, they had huge expectations. Now they got to figure things out. This is all fun and upside. So let's look at our Jonathan Franklin Myers. Let's look at our Elijah Vera Tuckers. Let's keep watching the guys who are really excelling and these young guys who are the future of the team. There's like so much. It's a lot more fun than it seems given the last week's score. So onward and upward. Literally on to Cincinnati.
Onward to Cincinnati and upward.
I know they're in New York, but you know what I'm saying.
Yes, I do know what you're saying. And I think our friend here, the Bougie Skull, I think he liked the podcast, but that's all we have for this episode of the Game Preview Podcast presented by WynnBET. Betting is a team sport. Bet together at WynnBET. Cynthia, thanks a lot. Enjoy your bougie tacos, and I'm excited to hear about the review next week.
Have a great week.